So a lot of these meetings are things that I am already trying to do, especially with not just activities, yes, but more so like when we go over structuring your day, doing activities, writing things down. A lot of it is just I'd make these meetings just to help myself. That was a joke. But there's some truth to that where, you know, things that I'm trying to work on or things I'm implementing that I think are benefits to you guys, I try to incorporate. So one of which is creating and owning your ideal day. Like if we have that mentality that today's my day, I control the day, the day's not going to control me, chances are things are going to happen by design a little more, right? Your plan is going to get executed. When you're not doing that and shooting at the hip, that's when the whirlwind of your life, and we all have that whirlwind of our lives that gets hectic and takes over and takes priority over other things. And that's when that takes over. And now all of a sudden you're not controlling the day is controlling you. So how can we structure ourselves in a way where we're in control, we're playing it out, and we're creating our ideal day? What are the chances when you guys create your ideal day that's actually going to happen? Zero. Mike Tyson says everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. But when you have a plan, when you create your ideal day, it's going to go much smoother and you're going to get a lot more done. So let's talk about a few things. Just as far as our business, what's working, what's not. Alessandra, you wrote up an offer. Where'd you find that buyer? There's a good 800,000, 850 buyer.
It's on that page, South Third Street that I did for Joe.
So in just a short week or two, you converted that buyer into a client. You showed them houses and you made a very aggressive over full price offer.
Yeah. They walked in, they didn't have an agent, their sister is from the area, so really aggressive and wanting to purchase, coming from Middle Village, and so just really clicked with them as soon as they came in, you know, and they
So-
signed the exclusive agreement literally 3 days later for 6 months, and you know, we put in an offer.
So you have a very good track record now. Your on-base percentage of converting clients at an open house are pretty good. So that might be something to lean in on and work on. I could tell you that there's some people in this office that would love to be able to get those people into clients, and maybe there's some friction or things I got to work on in order to do that. So great job. What was your pitch to that person in the open house?
I just asked them, I said, what are you looking for? Why are you looking to leave Middle Village? What's, you know, tell me a little bit more about what you're hoping to gain. And just listened. I know you're constantly saying to just listen, and I just let them talk and talk and talk, and I kind of grasped that things that I could relate to, so it didn't come off as just me wanting to make the sale, like it was more of a relatable. Yeah, like I understand, you know, I lived in Astoria for a little bit, so I get the transition, it can be scary, and you know, being a resource for you and, you know, understanding what you're looking for as, you know, it's something that I could relate to because it's what I was looking for. And just kind of going from there, and it was.
You started out with just being a human being and asking questions. Nice. I used to tell my son in school, and you know, we used to get notes that he talks a lot. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and for some reason that sticked with him. And he used to tell his teachers, and the teachers were happy that he knew that. But it really is impactful when you just ask a question and wait. You know, there's a lot of sales books and techniques is after you have an ask or a request or a question, you just shut up. And people hate silence, right? There's awkward silence. I got one friend who I could sit at the bar with and there's no awkward silence, but we could sit in silence, right?
Mhm.
But for the most part, on average, when you're one-on-one with someone or just in a setting like that, if there's silence, they'll speak. So ask that question and just let them speak. And then you have the ability to relate to them. I was in that situation. I was, you know, living in Manhattan and we made the move. So it's a very, very good way to be a human being and ask questions.
I've been trying to get better at asking open-ended questions. So that's part of why I'm sitting back and listening, because I'm thinking about.
So tell me what an open-ended question is.
So instead of just having somebody say yes or no, having it be more of like a why behind the answer, having them explain that to you, so.
Every question should be an open-ended question. And then we have these scripts and these dialogues where there's lots of sample questions you could ask. So pull these out, have them in your head, and in certain situations, you're gonna ask those questions. What about anyone else? What's working? What successes have we had? From that same buyer? Cool. So Lorraine's got her own buyer on Coolidge. Good job on that. Not that quick. It's been, yeah. Yeah, so
Say to get the buyer,
oh,
get your contracts out, get your mobile times, 2 weeks is pretty well ready for Jim, that's why.
so let me just recap here. Alessandra did an open house and converted a buyer into a client. Lorraine, did you do an open house and get your own buyer from that? Do we see a theme here? Open houses and sphere of influence. All in. What'd you say? You did it. Maria?
I'm setting up my open house Thursday.
Nice. And you're doing it the right way. So Maria was thumbing through the open house playbook yesterday. And I started studying it, reading line by line, and she's got a lot of material there. So
Yeah.
good job. Again, the purpose of these meetings focus on intentional daily structure and activities, right? And these meetings can be whatever you want. If you want me to stop talking, you guys want to talk for 20 minutes, if it's productive, I think it'll be a great meeting. All right, so what is the ideal day? So a day structured around income producing activities. That should be our main focus. We have to do our open houses and actually show up, right? Be there on time and actually do the open house. We have to look at MLS listings and we have to call the listing agent. We have to see if it's available and schedule the appointment. But those activities, what's up, Cameron? Those activities are not going to make us money. Well, they're not generating new business. So they're needed to make money, but they're not generating new business. So our ideal day is heavily focused on income producing activities. Balanced prospecting, marketing, follow-up, and personal time, right? So you have to do those personal things. You have to make those calls to the listing agent, schedule appointments. That stuff's needed, but it doesn't replace the activities that leads to new business. And build using time blocking to stay focused. This is going to be the focus on this short meeting where we got about 13 more minutes. Is time blocking, and it's something that is challenging for me over the years, but it's something that I'm refocused on, I guess you could say. And if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't happen. It's so easy to have memory of I'm going to do this today, and all of a sudden that whirlwind of a life happens, and you put it aside. Then the next day, put it aside. Next week's gonna be different. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna do it. And maybe you get one day where you do it, but it's not consistent, and it never will be if it's not in your calendar.
I feel like I do time blocking when I'm here because you see, I work with a notebook.
Yeah.
So when I walk in that notebook, I'll write down sales meeting, update the inventories. Somebody will come over and say, put an open house in and do promos, and I'll do, okay, KD core promos, and I'll write all this stuff down. So I'm kind of time blocking.
And you do it in batches, right?
every day.
You're not doing one graphic and then 30 minutes later doing another. Good.
And I do my engagement, like there's a system in place, you know what I mean? And I just know what I have to do within that little note that I made. So I time block my day when I'm at the office working, but I don't have time to
Yeah.
my other stuff.
Well,
I just jam it
Isn't
in
that
when I
funny?
can. It's very
you just said I don't have time to time block. And there's a ton of data. Corporations that spend a significant amount of money studying this, people writing books and dedicating 8 months of their life writing these books. Time blocking is the most efficient way to get things done. There's nothing better.
put everything in my calendar on my phone.
Yeah.
I have to go show this house, I have to go meet with this buyer, I have to, call a seller,
I
have to.
I think that's
it's all in there,
I think you have to be good at calendaring
yeah,
before you can
yeah.
get really good at time blocking. Yeah. So if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. Why does time blocking work? Let's break it down. So they always say women are better multitaskers, right? But there's plenty of people that say human beings are terrible multitaskers. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. Human nature, the way our mind works, you can only think of one thing at a time, right? We're not a computer where we can think of many things all at the same time. So when you are quote unquote multitasking, you're literally playing whack-a-mole and you're just kind of figuring it out as you go. And you're scattered, nothing feels like it's going. You start something, you don't finish it. And I think a lot of people could fall in that category of starting things and not finishing it. Time blocking allows you to actually spend the time to actually finish those things before you move on to the next thing. It creates clarity, consistency, and also confidence, right? So when you time block and you actually accomplish these things and you're not that person that starts and doesn't finish, now you're creating a new identity, right? I'm a person that gets shit done. Part of my French, there's no kids here. You use your calendar as a roadmap. Maria, we were just talking about that. I am not the person that's going to color code tasks, but it could be good practice for people that are super analytical and really want to prioritize and differentiate different things in their time blocking. But if you were, I would definitely choose green for the money-making activities, maybe blue for personal, and then orange for marketing, or yellow for marketing if we're Weichertizing things. You also need to add buffers for transition and flexibility. So a lot of people, the experts in time blocking, say when you sit down and actually time block, you're not going to allocate enough time for those tasks. So when you're starting, give yourself more time than you think. Create that buffer, because all of a sudden, if you're not having enough time to finish things and you're moving on to the next thing because you're time blocking, maybe you don't finish those tasks. So set up a little extra time for yourself. Let's turn the page. Let's talk about just an ideal thing. And I'm going to run through it real quick, but this might be an example of something or kind of an outline to work off of. If you start your day at 9 o'clock, follow up with new and old open house leads. So that might be something you do without fail. Set up your new and old open house leads. 5 calls, 5 texts, 5 emails, right? Maybe commit yourself to do that. And what tools are you going to use? We have our MyWeichert CRM. We have our templates. We got lots of things we could do to do those follow-up stuff. Maybe at 10:30 now, I'm going to focus on lead generation and social media. I'm going to post a squeeze page, Facebook, and do it on Instagram with a link in the story. Do my 10-10-5, 11:30. I'm going to send out direct mail, 5 to 10 handwritten note cards. What's up, Patty? Focus on just solds, just listeds. I have a buyer. We're gonna do personal touches. It's gonna lead to a big return on investment. 12:30, I'm gonna do some personal errands and lunch, recharge, whatever we have to do. 2 o'clock, I'm gonna do door hangers. So every day at 2 o'clock, I do 30 door hangers. It'll take me no time at all. It'll take you less than 2 hours. So see, I gave you a big buffer there. And then maybe 4 p.m. That's when we make our calls. So 4 p.m. is usually a good time to make phone calls. Wednesdays and Thursdays are a little better than the other days. I'm going to make 20 to 30 outbound calls. This is really a bite-sized plan. This is very accomplishable, and it's kind of designed for someone that isn't really doing a lot of this stuff right now. But you could even start smaller if you wanted to. You know, if you felt like this might be a big chunk to take on initially, tone it down and start a little smaller. But whatever it is, we're creating our ideal day and we're setting expectations to ourselves. We're putting it in our calendar and we're time blocking to get it done. Handwritten note cards. If you do that consistently, you will get a response. We have a ton of plain ones, correct? Yeah.
Your house and the girls and congrats on closing on blah blah blah. I love
Yes.
working
And you
with
can
you.
deliver it or you actually mail it?
You can do either or. You can do either or. So we kind of talked about some wins already. We found there's examples in this room, good examples of open houses working. And we can always get better at it, right? The best way to get better at open houses is to do more of them, to role play with other people, or video yourself with your pitch. You know, maybe you need to focus, or maybe you want to focus on the second they walk in that door, your 2-3 sentences that you're going to say, because that could be the difference between building a lot of rapport and being likable or not. So what is that first meet and greet like? Envision it. What does it look like? What are you saying? What's your script per se when they walk in that door? Practice it 1,000,000 times in your head. Practice it on the phone. Then maybe when you're comfortable, practice it with me or another one of our agents. So that alone could be the difference between converting one or none to 3 or 4. Who wants to share anything that is kind of on our list of things we want to implement, but we just haven't done it yet? Is there anything like, I really want to do this, but I haven't done it yet? Find time.
It's like, look at the timeline, I'm like, all right, 9 o'clock, usually get in the car, and I'll drive there at 10:30, so it's.
Well, we're doing a weekly checklist, right? So could this be a Monday list or a Tuesday list and then Wednesday's different? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So now all of a sudden I'm not doing 30 door hangers. You could carve out an hour here and do something. If I say this with getting healthy and go to the gym, if it's a priority, you'll go.
7:30 in the morning, and I go in the guest room and do it.
You know when I go to the gym? 6 a.m. Because I know there's just, it's not feasible.
Oh,
And that's awesome. So that's, you get up earlier. It's not feasible to me. If I don't go at 6 a.m., I'm probably not gonna go. There'll be no time. There'll be no time.
sweaty and whatever.
So if it's a priority, you're gonna find the time to do it. And then if you're not doing it, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror, put on your big girl pants, and say, there's a reason I'm not doing it. Me. So if there are things you want to start, where should we put them?
Start more. And I've been trying like to just follow up on my old clients and, some investors that I want to set up things.
I would say the best thing to do on those tasks you haven't started yet, but you want to, but just can't make it the first thing you do. Especially MyWeichert stuff. That there's a thing that was going around in Weichert where it was start with MyWeichert. That should be the first thing you do each day is go into MyWeichert and do those things.